Food is obviously an important part of our daily lives, and this guy helped big time in making sure we have a greater variety of foods to enjoy. Christopher Columbus, who you may have heard of in history class, is famous for his trip to our hemisphere from Europe. He supposedly discovered our world from Europe, though really it was already inhabited by native people. But in any case, Columbus's discovery was very important in exchanging all sorts of different foods from around the world. It's called the Columbian Exchange. For example, Italy is famous for their tomatoes, but tomatoes actually originated in South America. So where did other famous foods originate from? Well, let's have a look. How about my favorite fruit, which is watermelon? Watermelons come from Northeast Africa in the ancient Egypt region from around 2000 BCE. You'll learn more about Egypt from Mrs. Drunkenmiller later in this class. But these watermelons weren't quite the sweet ones that we have today. The sweet desert watermelons we know today emerged in the Mediterranean region, but Egypt is where watermelon was first cultivated, so that's where its origin story begins. Potatoes were a huge part of the Columbian Exchange. I myself love mashed potatoes, and I love French fries even more. So where did the potato originate from? Well, despite potatoes being very associated with Ireland, the potato actually originated in South America. The ancient Incan people in the country of Peru cultivated potatoes, as it originated about 8,000 years ago. So when you're taking the quiz later, remember, potatoes come from Peru. Corn is another food you'll probably learn a lot about in this class. It was known as maize back then and was actually incredibly important to ancient people. So when was corn first cultivated? It was around 7,000 to 9,000 years ago in modern-day Mexico. It soon spread into the modern-day United States too. Thanksgiving is of course coming up soon, and it's important to note that the corn of indigenous people was definitely at the first ever Thanksgiving in 1621. What about rice? There's a bit more debate among historians with this one, but they generally agree that it originated in China somewhere between 13,000 to 8,000 years ago. It makes sense considering how tasty orange chicken is with rice. Now, rice originated around this area called the Yangtze River. It soon spread across Asia and would later reach the Americas in, well, you guessed it, the Columbian Exchange. Now, where did the cocoa bean originate? Cocoa is incredibly important as that's the stuff that makes up chocolate. Cocoa beans were first cultivated in ancient South America and were important to the ancient Aztec and Mayan civilizations. Researchers have found that cocoa-based foods date back thousands of years. I'm not sure of an exact country, but we know cocoa trees are native to the Amazon rainforest. As I'm sure you'll learn in this class, the rainforest is quite an important ecosystem. So before we end the video, here's a few more interesting food origins. Carrots originated in the Middle East around Iran and Afghanistan. They have 32,000 genes in them, more than a human. Genes are the stuff that we're made out of. A lot of these plants date back thousands of years, but here's one that's a bit newer. It dates back to the 1750s in Brittany, France, and that would be the strawberry. Now, what do scientists believe is the first ever fruit? Well, there is some debate about that, but around 10,000 years ago is when the banana first originated in Papua New Guinea, which is just north of Australia. What about some famous animals that we use as food, some proteins? Well, let's start with chickens. Again, there's some uncertainty here, but they appear to originate in Southeast Asia, probably China, a couple thousand years ago. How about cows? Cows were first domesticated a long time ago, around 10,000 years ago in the countries of modern-day Pakistan and Turkey. And finally, because it's Thanksgiving soon, let's end with turkey. Where did turkeys first come from? Well, we head back to our hemisphere and find that the turkey was first domesticated in Mexico about 2,000 years ago. Because the turkey is native to our continent, Benjamin Franklin wanted the turkey to be our national bird, not the bald eagle.